welcome into OutKick the show, Thursday edition. It may well be the case that some of you are already out for Christmas, that your kids are on winter holiday like mine are downstairs right now playing video games. At least two of the three are. And I want to make sure that you all have safe Christmases, safe holiday seasons, safe New Year's. I'm going to do a show tomorrow, and maybe depending on how the college football playoffs go, I might do one more before the end of the year. But then we will be on OutKick show hiatus until the beginning of 2025. So I want to make sure I say right here, and I'll say it tomorrow as well, thank you for making this such a fabulous year for OutKick, for me personally. It has been an incredibly fun journey, as so many of these years have been, and I appreciate deeply all of you for spending your time, your energy, your effort with all of us, and certainly everybody who works at OutKick. I appreciate their effort, and hopefully we can make you guys some money with the Prize Picks pick I'm about to give you, and then also Kelly Stewart and I will be doing the Fade, which will be up a little bit later. Early preview. My plan tomorrow, unless there is crazy news, is to do my yearly analysis of the data from Pornhub. I've been doing this for like 7 or 8 years. Inevitably, every year people get angry. Also, it's one of the most watched and widely distributed shows that I do. It is not for kids. So if you listen to this show and there are kids there, I'm going to say at the start of tomorrow's show, this is not for kids, but it should be fun for an adult special headed into the holiday, maybe for you to listen to on travel season as you roll through. But I want to make your holidays bigger and brighter with Prize Picks. Best place to get real money action while watching your favorite sports. Prize Picks is the best way to get in all the sports action over 30 states, including California, Florida, Georgia, Texas. You can win up to 1,000 times your money at Prize Picks. Make your picks in under 60 seconds. Turn your sports opinions into real money all season long on Prize Picks. They'll discount select player projections up to 25% to provide you even more value for your lineups. And during the holidays, Prize Picks giving away 2 free picks in December and $30+ million in rewards during Pixmas. Download the app today. Use code OutKick to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That is code OutKick for $50 instantly after your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, run your game. Picks, 10-1 payout. Hoping that Santa Clay is coming to town with this winning combo. Tonight, we have got the Chargers hosting the Denver Broncos. I'm going to go with Bo. I think it's going to be a low-scoring defensive battle. If I am correct, then I like both offenses to have trouble moving the football and neither quarterback to dominate. Ergo, I am going Bo Nix less than 222.5 passing yards. Justin Herbert less than 230.5 passing yards. That is tonight's game. And hopefully that will set the table for us to win with Tua more than 1.5 touchdowns and Joe Mixon more than 1/2 touchdown rushing or receiving. That is Bo Nix less. That is Justin Herbert less. Tua more and Joe Mixon more. That is how I would break all of the Prize Picks action down for you. Code OutKick. Okay, let's dive into some of the stories that are out there making news. Fani Willis has been removed as the district attorney. Biggest news of the day. I told you a long time ago that this was inevitably going to happen. You can go back and check OutKick the show, catalogs, the archives. I told you that she was going to be removed because having had the affair with Nathan Wade and having paid him $700,000, the appearance of impropriety, to me, was significant enough to mandate her removal in this case. And guess what? That is exactly what the Georgia Court of Appeals found in the opinion released today. They wrote, and I'm reading from the opinion, after carefully considering the trial court's findings and its order, we conclude it erred by failing to disqualify Willis and her entire office. The remedy did not make sense, and they said, while we recognize an appearance of impropriety generally is not enough to support disqualification, this is the rare case in which disqualification is mandated, and no other remedy will suffice to restore public confidence in the integrity of the proceedings. They also then said that they were striking and forcing for recusal all of the district attorneys in Atlanta's Fulton County DA office, which means effectively this case is over. And everyone out there who told you, and there were a lot of people in the media, that Trump was going to get hammered in Atlanta, and Trump was going to get hammered in the classified documents case in Florida, and Trump was going to get absolutely savaged by what was going to happen with the Jack Smith January 6th cases, and this was going to be a huge obstacle, an albatross for him going forward, not just politically, but also that he was going to go to prison. You were wrong. I was right. All of the lawfare has collapsed. And I'm telling you, the Judge Merchan, Alvin Bragg case in New York City, the bookkeeping felonies, that story is also going to collapse. It is inevitable. There is no there. All of these cases are going to go up in smoke, but the Atlanta one is the latest. Now, all Fani Willis had to do was not sleep with a coworker, and she would have been able to prosecute this case. She couldn't manage that, and so the case is gone. I actually think that there should be a criminal investigation opened into her, because I think it's very likely she lied under oath in the testimony that we heard. And also, she paid her lover $700,000 in taxpayer funds. That is substantial. That is consequential. I think that she should go down for, interesting phrase, a crime in this particular context. So that story is out there, and it is a big one, but it is one that we forecast, and it is yet more vindication for Trump in the lawfare brought against him. Wall Street Journal, late last night, early this morning, however you want to classify it, the Wall Street Journal dropped a long-form piece saying that Joe Biden has not been able to mentally and physically conduct himself as president of the United States for years now. And there were a lot of different details in there, among them that Biden basically has two different staffers who just follow him around to make sure he knows how to get up and down and off a stage, for instance. That when he recently traveled to Angola, they decided there were too many steps for him to be able to get into the museum, so they brought museum relics out to him because they didn't think he was capable of climbing all the stairs to get into the museum. When he fell asleep in Angola, that was because he had traveled too far. When he wandered off into the Amazon rainforest in Brazil, that was a mess as well. The stories are starting to come out. I told you that it was going to occur. Maybe the most reckless of all of the opportunities and stories out there was the idea that Joe Biden was mentally and physically capable, not just to be president right now, which I think it's quite clear that he is not, but that he could do it for 4 more years was the height of recklessness. And he was been and has been unable to do this job for a long time. Dr. Jill Biden, among others, helped to cover this fact up. In fact, the story starts with during the Iowa caucuses, Jill Biden, who's 8 years younger than Joe, they had to tell her to stop bragging about how many different events she had done because it was making Joe Biden look worse because he was having difficulty keeping up with his own wife. So that story is out there, and I would encourage all of you to go read it at the Wall Street Journal. I want to give credit, a couple of different stories. One, I'm getting lit up as occasionally happens, because many of you are saying that I am a pussy because I am not willing to go sit in the cold for what is going to be, I think, an absolutely frigid Ohio State-Tennessee game. Over 20,000 of you have voted. I said it will be under 20 degrees for Tennessee-Ohio State on Saturday night. Am I a pussy for not going to the game? Because it will be too cold and watching on TV instead, which is exactly what I'm going to do. 67% of you said yes, that I am a pussy, and 33% of you said no. Although a lot of you are admitting that you do not have very much interest in going and sitting outside in the cold either. I'll give you a little bit of a preview. I think Ohio State's going to win this game. I think Tennessee is going to cover, but I think it's going to be a low-scoring game, and I don't want to go to Columbus, Ohio. I will say, if this game were being played in Neyland Stadium, where my grandfather used to live in the dorms there when he was playing for General Neyland in the 1930s, if the game were taking place in Neyland Stadium, I would go and I would sit outside in the cold because I would want to be there. Also, it's not anywhere near as far of a trip or as difficult for me to get to Knoxville as it is there. The absolute latest, according to Adam, 22 degrees. Wind, not that significant, but there will be a wind chill. And it's going to be pretty cold. That's too cold for me. So I will not be there. You guys are lighting me up. One of you said, I saw one of the comments, that I need to burn all the DBAP shirts and use them for warmth. But remember, it's not just DBAP. It's SBAP too. General rule, don't be a pussy. But counter argument here, sometimes be a pussy. So DBAP general rule, but SBAP sometimes. I'm going to SBAP here. Couple of other things that are out there. I saw this story, and I talked about it a little bit yesterday, but I actually hadn't watched all of the clips associated with it. So Aaron Rodgers has been going after people on ESPN, and he's been doing it through Pat McAfee's show. And I guess Aaron Rodgers, some of you will know better than me, goes on weekly with Pat McAfee on Tuesdays, I believe it is. And full disclosure, I don't really know much about Pat McAfee's show at all. I see clips every now and then, but I believe he's on the same time that I am. In other words, I do Clay and Buck during his show, so I don't think I can ever really watch it. So I only see it clipped-wise, just FYI. But Aaron Rodgers said something really interesting on it. And I hadn't thought about this, but I think it's kind of genius. He said that whenever you're on television as an opinionist, a lot of times they define you and describe you in some way. For instance, for Aaron Rodgers, 4-time NFL MVP, Super Bowl champion quarterback. That's kind of the way that they describe him. He said you should have to announce how many COVID shots you got as part of your description of yourself if you're an opinionist. I've never gotten it. I've never gotten one of them. So whenever I went on, if all you got was like the number of COVID shots that you have received, I would be a 0. And some of you out there that are watching or listening to this are going to say, oh, well, I trust Clay Travis less because he should have gotten a COVID shot. And that would have been an opinion that would have been really common a couple of years ago. Now there's almost nobody who's still getting all the COVID shots. So if I see that somebody's had 7, 8, 9, 10 COVID shots, my opinion is I don't trust anything that you say. And I think this is a really good idea from Aaron Rodgers. I think it would make a ton of sense to actually have everybody out there have to own the number of COVID shots that they got as a symptom for how reliable you are. So I give credit to Aaron Rodgers. I never thought about this. I can't think of anything else which would more rapidly make me trust or not trust you. You could say who you voted for in an election, but there's lots of people who are just traditional Democrats or traditional Republicans or libertarians or you never vote or whatever it is. So I don't think that would tell me as much. The number of COVID shots you got tells me everything I need to know about you. If you got more than 2 COVID shots and you're under the age of 50, I don't trust any opinion you have on any issue because you are a sheep, because you were willing to do whatever the bleeding masses told you to do without question at all. And why should I trust your opinion on this at all? So I give a lot of credit to Aaron Rodgers on this. I think it makes a tremendous amount of sense. News. College football. We're going to break down all the college football playoff games, but in the event you do not watch that, Kelly Stewart and I are going to be on as soon as I finish that show doing that. Here are my picks. They are up on OutKick. I'm on Notre Dame -7 against Indiana. I think Notre Dame is going to beat Indiana by double digits. Indiana has only really played one top 25 team all year, but the only team with a winning record basically that they played all year was Michigan, and they were fortunate to win that game against Michigan. But I'm on Notre Dame to beat Indiana by double digits. I think Indiana is the worst team that made the playoff, and I'm on the over 51.5 in the game that will be played tomorrow night. We got a Friday night college football playoff game. SMU, I am taking plus the 8.5 points against Penn State in Happy Valley, and I am taking the under. I think this will be a bit of a defensive struggle, and I think Penn State's going to win, but I think they'll win by a touchdown or less. Clemson, I am taking plus the 12 points. This is a big number on the road against Texas, and I'm going on the under. Best win Texas has all year on the road against Texas A&M. Otherwise, they don't really have any good wins. I'm going to be honest with you. I mean, they beat Vanderbilt, they beat Oklahoma, but Texas had the easiest possible SEC schedule. They lost twice to Georgia. I think this will be a low-scoring game. I am convinced that Texas has a good defense, just not sold on their ability to move the football. Clemson has already lost twice, got blown out by Georgia, lost a close game at home to South Carolina. I think Texas wins, but it feels more like a touchdown game to me than a 12-point game. So I'm taking Clemson, talented team, no pressure, plus the points on the road against Texas and the under. And then I'm taking Tennessee, plus the 7.5 at Ohio State, and I'm going to go on the under 45.5. So I have an over-under pick and a spread pick on every college football playoff game, and there are 8 winners for you up right now on OutKick, but I just ran through all of them. Now, I'm excited. I am ecstatic. I have been wanting a college football playoff like this for my entire life as a college football fan. It's taken 2 generations of me personally being a fan for us to get here. So I'm not going to look a gift horse in a mouth and complain about the fact that it has finally arrived, the college football playoff, at the same time that the NIL era has created pure chaos in college football. You got a lot of players based on the timeline that are entering the transfer portal while their teams are actually in the process of trying to compete for a championship. It is indicative, I think, of the poor decision and planning process of college football that this could be allowed to occur at all. But I think eventually, and I've been saying this for a long time, and maybe I need to write about it after the season's over, eventually we're going to get a CBA, that is a collective bargaining agreement. The players are going to be employees. They're going to have a labor arrangement that is entered into. But without a CBA, anything that the college football leadership tries to do gets sued as an antitrust violation, and the courts are overwhelmingly saying virtually everything is an antitrust violation, including a lawsuit that a judge has agreed. Vanderbilt quarterback Diego Pavia, who a lot of you have watched, has now said, I deserve another year in college football. And he's saying his junior college years should not count against him. And this is significant because Diego Pavia, in theory, stands to make more money, which is crazy to think about, from college football than he would from the NFL. And I don't know how many of you are aware of this, but every quarterback that starts in the SEC right now, this year, all 16 of them, starting quarterbacks, make more money to play quarterback than Brock Purdy, who is in year 3 with the San Francisco 49ers. Starting quarterbacks in the SEC, major college football in general, are all making 7 figures now. Diego Pavia doesn't have a great NFL future. So think about what we've seen happen in college football. It used to be that, for instance, I think it was Maurice Clarett and Mike Williams back in the day sued, arguing that they should be able to go to the NFL earlier, right after their freshman years, instead of having to wait 3 years, which is the rule still in the NFL. You can't enter the NFL until 3 years after your high school graduating class. And Maurice Clarett, and I believe it was Mike Williams, wide receiver for USC, if I'm remembering correctly. I think it was just the two of them filed a lawsuit. Why is this significant? Now you have guys suing, saying they want to stay in college football. Think about how wild that is. In the space of, 10, 15 years, we've gone from, hey, I got to be able to get out of this league to make as much money as possible in the pros, to I don't want to have to leave this league because I stand to make more money here now. And Diego Pavia theoretically is going to be back at Vanderbilt, and he's going to be making more money than he otherwise would in college football than he would in the NFL. This is a seismic change. It's going to need to get rectified. Having perpetual free agency, no restrictions, having no draft, having basically the ability for every player to leave at any point in time. It's the Wild West right now. We talked about yesterday, Alabama saying, hey, we need more money to be able to get better players because our players are getting bought by other programs. And it's inevitable to me that a super rich billionaire is going to put down so much money that he just buys all of the best talent. And this is why salary caps exist, because many of these leagues, everyone but Major League Baseball, recognize that the richest guys being able to buy all the best players actually destroys competitive balance. And this is why there are salary caps, and why eventually I think there will be a collective bargaining agreement, and you won't have unlimited transfer portal, and you won't have players being able to go completely to the highest bidder without restriction. I got so many thoughts on all of this. Where we end up feels inevitable. But the Diego Pavia lawsuit is the latest lawsuit that the NCAA loses. Until there is a CBA, the NCAA has absolutely no control over the rules and regulations of college football. Finally, prepare yourself. There is a calculated attempt to try to break up the bromance between Donald Trump and Elon Musk. The media has got their marching orders. They're now supposed to say that Elon Musk is the actual president and that Trump doesn't matter. This is ridiculous, of course, but that is what they are trying to do, because the reality is the partnership between Elon Musk and Donald Trump is the most effective, efficient, and transformative maybe that we've ever seen between a president and a civilian. That is someone not in his administration officially. I know Elon's a part of Doge, but he's not being paid in any of our lives. I hope both men are smart enough to recognize it and avoid it. Also thought it was interesting that Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk both had dinner last night at Mar-a-Lago, sitting at Trump's table. I would love to know what that conversation was like. All right. I love all of you. I am now going to this is interesting. Steve Sarkisian was asked his reaction to Diego Pavia. This is the fallout of the lawsuit. He said, I totally disagree with it. We're going to have guys 28, 29 years old playing college football. What's the point, man? And I actually agree with Steve Sarkisian there, because guys are going to say, hey, I'm going to law school. I'm going to med school. I'm going to grad school. Why would I not be eligible to continue to play college football? And the reason they're going to say that is because they're going to argue that years restrictions on their eligibility are a violation of antitrust law, and without a CBA, they might win that argument. And the reason they'd want to win that argument is what I said before, because guys have potentially more money to be made playing college football or college basketball than they stand to make in the NFL or the NBA. Again, Brock Purdy as an example. It's crazy to even think about. All right, I'll be back tomorrow, final show of the year for OutKick. DBAP unless you need to SBAP. I'm going to leave here right now. Kelly Stewart's going to slide in, and we are going to knock out our college football and NFL gambling show preview, getting you ready for the playoff. I hit you with all my picks. Go download Prize Picks. Use code OutKick. Get $50 when you play $5. Reminder, Bo Nix, Justin Herbert, both less in passing yards tonight. Tua, more than 1.5 TDs, and Joe Mixon, more than 1/2 touchdown rushing or receiving. I love all of you. We'll have some fun tomorrow with that Pornhub list, which everybody loves, but it's just for adult listeners and or viewers. Prepare yourselves. This has been OutKick the Show. DBAP, unless you need to SBAP.